On this episode of Magazine Monday. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. We still got to do some theme music. We got to come up with something, just like we do for the Railroads Rock Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. But on this episode, we're going to be doing. Obviously, this is where we shoot the Railroads Rock Show. We're not doing model railroader magazines. No. We are actually doing train magazines. But I've had some requests to kind of go around all the junk that's piled up over here in the corner. But I've had a couple of requests. Timmy, what did you scratch build that Hooters out of? Well, you can go back through my Instagram and take a look and see. But yeah, this is actually scratch built. A little bit of styrene, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It does light up. And some clear plastic off of a... yeah, that's right. That's a window off of a sushi box from the store. And this is just a Athearn Genesis box that I cut in half at kind of a caddy angle, like a caddy corner angle. So the other side of it is over there somewhere. And then obviously these are two Amazon boxes that I have to send over to my boy John Mariscalco, but I detailed them up. That's just cardboard boxes with a little bit of styrene. Yeah, there's an engine on top. Big deal. There's the loading bays, other things going on, but let's get to it and bring ourselves around over here to the magazines that we're going to be looking at on Magazine Monday. Now, normally we do model railroader, rail model craftsman, and then maybe one trains, but this time we're just going to do trains, and rail news. So we're going to be talking about some things. Let's look at the dates. August 96, July 98, April 94. That's right. So we're still hanging out in the 90s. Now, there is a juxtaposition here because 94 is right as the mergers, the mega mergers of the 90s began, as opposed to by the time you get to 98, a lot of these railroads were settling in. You had kind of the tail end of those mega mergers where Conrail was getting split up to CSX and Norfolk Southern. You've got other like smaller rail lines getting bought up, but then the major, UP, Chicago Northwestern UP purchase, and then Southern Pacific also getting merged into Union Pacific and all that other fun jazz. And BNSF and all that fun stuff. And obviously they're going to be talking about the San Diego trolley in this one, but San Diego is a BNSF Santa Fe town. It always has been. And a lot of people would argue, and they go, no, it hasn't, Timmy. What about Southern Pacific? Well, that's very true. Southern Pacific had its entrance from the east by working with the Impossible Railroad. John D. Spreckles constructed the Impossible Railroad, or the famous Goat Canyon Trestle. Came right up through Dos Cabezas out of El Centro, or the Imperial Valley, and then worked its way back down below the border, and then into Tijuana, and then came back up north and made its way into San Diego. So you used to have Southern Pacific motive power on the San Diego and Imperial Valley Railroad, but that's a subject for another time. Let's drive and dive in. And yeah, a lot of these 90s magazines, I'm going through them, one by one, slow by slow, have a tote there, tote there, tote there, totes over there, filled with magazines. Let's do it. All right, so it looks like Landmark Locomotive, EMD's F7s. One of my favorite paint schemes in all of railroading, the Black Widow paint scheme. As you can see here, we did the Bloody Nose paint scheme for Southern Pacific, and this is not coming off, and I don't know why, and it's going to drive me nuts. But yeah, Bloody Nose paint scheme for Southern Pacific. And on the other diorama that I did, that is based on the Tehachapi diorama. It has the Tehachapi station on it. That one has this, the Black Widow paint scheme. I love that. Very unique too, because the Black Widow paint scheme had this semi-thick red stripe. I don't recall that, but I'm sure they got to be doing it right. These two orange stripes with the Southern Pacific Herald on the nose, I love. That kind of sunset Southern Pacific lines. What a beautiful looking herald or locomotive, or should I say logo. But then you have this red light that did the little spinny thing. It's not a rotary beacon. It was, gosh, what did they call that? Gyrolight. And then you've got this big, beautiful sunburst yellow light bulb there that just floods the tracks with nothing but glory. All right, we're opening up. Here we go. Let's see what our features come in here. Look at this. When you used to have to buy tapes, rail video tapes at a great price. Hey, man, DVDs were not very far behind. Like I said, this is 96, so right at that time was the start of Dub Video Dub. For you Flight of the Conchords fans, you know what I'm talking about. Love that show from back in the day. Got an SD40-2 right there leading some sort of U-boat. And I can't see if that's 4 or 6 axle. If that's a 4 axle, that's probably a 23B or a 30-7. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to it. A steamy centennial in Portland. Tug of war over a little lady, huh? What kind of magazine are we reading here? Union Pacific carries the torch. Note from the editors. Look at that. Oh, Olympic torch. Okay, cool. To Atlanta. That's right, because we had the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996. What a beautiful thing, man. I like that city. I have toured to it quite a few times. I love this video series, Donner Pass. All right. A lot of advertisements for this, that, and the other thing. We got nice little news photos here. People throwing snow, people doing this, people on the go. A little bit of Amtrak over what? This says the first southbound run on Amtrak's auto train with an all-superliner consist. Superliner. Look at all those superliners. Holy biscuit basket. That is a lot. That'd be one hell of a train to walk through, I'll tell you that. All right, let's keep mobilizing. Love this. Got a nice little Southern Pacific business car right there. Another business car. And then all these Swift. This has got to be fast freight. Experimental fast freight, because Lord knows this didn't stick around long. But I love the Jeep 60s. Southern Pacific GP60s with the speed lettering on them. I absolutely, hands down, one of my favorite logos that Southern Pacific stuck with. Obviously, when Rio Grande bought them, but so cool. Look at all that. That is one hell of a unit train. And then the Pepsi can. So cool, with a little bit of a Santa Fe behind it. What is that? Probably a GP35. Sometimes you could tell with the GP units, just because the trucks have the double air brake cylinders. Yeah, a lot of those on the GP30s and GP35s. Santa Fe, we all know, didn't have any GP40s. I mean, once they merged with Burlington Northern, yeah, BNSF has tons of GP40s, but from what I understand, they never had one, but somebody proved me wrong. Maybe they had one because of leasing or whatnot, but never under the Santa Fe umbrella. Okay, wonders of the railroad world. Don't even want to get into that. I love this. This kind of looks like the old San Diego viaduct. Look at that. So nifty. I love this. This is really cool. Actually, I was talking about this the other day. The Salt Lake City, the Great Salt Lake. It's not really a viaduct. It's an aqueduct, but it carries no water. It goes over the water. A thoroughfare? What do you call that? There's got to be a name for it. But look at that. That's them actually building the bridge little bit by bit and then just dumping all that gravel into place until you actually had a nice thoroughfare. I don't know if it was ever double-tracked. It definitely looks like it could have been, but at the same time, you do need vehicle access, so that wouldn't be the dumbest idea to have track on one side, vehicle access on the other, just in case you got to get some heavy machinery in there. So that's that. Boom. Big swing bridge. Look at that. That's a lift bridge. Oh, my God. I can't even. The Quebec Canadian Government Lift Bridge. Mount McDonald Tunnel. That's pretty cool. All this nifty stuff. Oh! The most famous face in railroading. The F7. Look at that. Chicago Northwestern. Love this freight series. These are the FTs. They have that big extra ventilator box on top. There's an actual technical term for that, but the way the fans were lined up over the tops, you still had the actual fans, and then you had this giant radiator platform. I don't exactly know how it cooled things off or made it better. I don't know, but I had a fella in the club one time explain it to me. His name was Pat Patterson, and then obviously as time has gone by, I was probably 14 years old when he explained it to me. Great guy. They actually named the Patterson Yard after him on the La Mesa Model Railroad Club. He just was one of the coolest dudes. I really enjoyed sitting down. Before they built the mezzanine at the La Mesa Model Railroad Club, he used to just tell me story after story after story of him working on the railroad. Good dude. Really good dude. Very calm demeanor and just so much wisdom. I encourage everybody this week to go out there and talk to some of your old timers. At least not the prickly ones. Talk to the ones that are a little bit more docile. But hey, you know what? Maybe talk to one of the prickly ones. Get into it with them. Yeah, so we're just going to kind of end there with these F-Series. Really, an engine after my own heart. It was the first engine I ever owned. I had the diesel hauler, which was a Bachmann kids, ready pack, circle track, Rock Island car, Union Pacific 4-bay hopper, and a little Santa Fe caboose with an F7. So here we go. This is my downtown right there. Our Town, just in case you're wondering, yes, that was me that wrote the Our Town song. For San Diego, you could look it up on YouTube, type in Pullman Standard Our Town, CW6, because that was the news station it ran on for a couple of years. But it's still up. The music video is still up on the YouTubes. Look at this. What are we talking about? The Expediter. I'm just liking some of these pictures. This really just gets me juiced about things. Obviously, M-Track. These units, or these engines, for those of you who have heard me do enough Magazine Mondays, always after my own heart. F40 PHs were just a very unique unit that were really branded to passenger service. You never saw any of these in freight service. I mean, every once in a while you'd see them tacked on to, as a power move for like a Santa Fe, Southern Pacific, something where they may get tagged into a lash up, but very rare. And then, if I'm not mistaken, you have these, I can't remember, this says Camden Lines, but these were New Jersey, and it was like a GP40, but with an F40 hood, front, cab, whatever you want to call it. And then, ooh, look at that. Sign of the Times, a brand new BNSF Heritage 1 scheme. Look at that, you still got the silver bottoms on there, which has kind of been a legacy thing of the railroad. Anything that is GE or has that Heritage 3 silver. I don't know. Is the whole railroad just going to eventually go black, orange, black, like some of the road units now? And look at that. Pennsylvania Railroad. You can get on your Railroads Rock show merch. You can get the RRR. That looks like a Pennsylvania, which I just sounded like a seal. Really fun stuff. I love these older magazines that just had a lot of advertisements in them. This one seems to be really gearing around M-Track in this. But then again, I've only flipped through a few pages. Love this little Pac-Man scheme. I used to have an SD40-2 in N-Scale that had that scheme. Something about it is that nostalgia. I really think it's an ugly paint scheme, to be honest, but the nostalgia behind it makes me like it. And I think that's with a lot of things. Like when you hear people like talk about mid-70s music, it's like disco. It's like disco will make you dance. I promise you that. But you'll be hell-bent to see somebody be like, yeah, that's a great disco song, or disco's awesome. But then again, now, looking back in the ages, it definitely is a freeze point in time. And there's some really good songs out right now, like Dua Lipa's I Wanna Stay at Home, 'Cause I Was Always Better Alone. Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers has a really good YouTube video about doing that song. But yeah, look at that. Those F40 PHs again. And very much like this scheme. The black top gives it a very semi-menacing look. And then red, white, and blue. All-American, baby. And if Evan was here, he could tell me what that phase was. Love this. The Plaza, if you ever gone to the When You Were Young festival. Or this is, I don't know what movie. This has been featured in a lot of movies. I'm trying to think. The Plaza. What movie? Anyways, there's the Pepsi can. Look at that. And then a very rare, but a P30CH, which was a 6-axle M-Track unit. You didn't really see much of that going on, getting phased out through the 90s and pretty much gone into the 2000s. And we get to the Pièce de Résistance article, San Diego. And this is the inaugural train for the Mission Valley West extension has just arrived at Qualcomm Stadium. I remember when this opened. What year is this again? Oh my gosh, that's right. That's right. They finished this up. I remember being our practice field for the football team for our high school was right above Mission Valley. I went to USDHS. You can see that school is featured in the movie Almost Famous. When he walks out, he's looking over San Diego, looking towards Point Loma. That is USDHS. This area right here, from what it looks like, that's just coming into the stadium station, which is still there, but the stadium is not. It's now Snapdragon Stadium. They tore the whole Qualcomm Stadium down. But look at that, man. Solid fun run right there. If you ever, it's still when they had the old originals, and these are phase 2s. I don't even know how many of those are left on the system. But look at this M-Track cab right there. And then as you can see, this is a good overview of the system. You got from TJ right there across the border, and that's the last stop right there, right before Tijuana. And then you come all the way up. A lot of good old industrial scenery right here if you're a rail fan, kind of like a historical foamer, because there's a lot of old industry right here along the waterfront that still has the original tracks. I don't know if even one of them has an operable siding anymore other than the auto rack plant down here in National City. And then from downtown, you get the orange line all the way out to Shern T. And then this is our green line. This is what they opened it up to. This is already finished now. This has been running for a lot of years. And now they have the UCSD line that is there. That was the newest one that just opened. But this is obviously 22 years prior to that line opening. So really cool. Downtown San Diego. That's my home. Because this is our town. San Diego is our town. Florida East Coast. This is a really good mag. I loved it. Good experience. All right, let's finish up with Chicago Northwestern. There we go. I'm going to take a drink. There we go. GE trains. 1-800 GE train. What is this? Yes. What kind of trains do you like? Oh, wow. This is like a hotline for GE foamers. It's not even GE train. GE trans? Uh-oh. Am I getting in a little bit of trouble? Uh-oh. Hi, yeah, I just want to talk about Dash 9s being my favorite train. Tell me more. Dash 9s are so awesome. Yeah, I'm listening. Tell me. Go ahead. They're just so awesome. I just like them. And, I don't know. That's all I have to say. Yeah, what's your favorite paint scheme? All of them. Oh, you know how to talk to a lady. Hope you enjoyed that. Anyways, I want you guys to all have a wonderful rest of your day. Look at that. The yellow and green. Patrick Henry colors. Gotta love those old Dash 9s. I actually stood corrected the other day. They never had, from what I understand, C40-8s. They only had the C44-9s and the AC4400s. Because they had these, was it the SD50 or 60? I cannot remember now. My mind needs to be jogged. But I do recall, one of a locomotive that I really enjoy with this green and yellow paint scheme, non-dynamic brake GP7. High nose, arched round cab hood, whatever you want to call it. Just look at that. Big old snowplow looking so cool. How can I explain anything else? This is a really cool shot of Proviso Yard. Look at that. You got the control tower off to the side instead of in the center. Pushing the hump. And then there you go. Look at that. A nice little system map. Now, I will say, though, they did have C40-8s, just not the Ws. And here's a prime example. C40-8s. Look at that. Some simple little strobe up on top. Little headlight right above the cab so they could really have a hard time seeing through the fog on a lonely, foggy night. And that'll be that. Man, I really wish we can go longer, but, there's just never enough time. And I always want to try and fit in at least 3 different magazines, different eras, just to get that feeling, that umph, that whatever. The Wisconsin Wanderer. All right, let's read this really quick and end with that. Ownership of both railroad and railcar rebuilding company has its advantage. Bill Gardner, who calls the shots at the regional line, Wisconsin and Southern and Northern Railcar Corporation, keeps this handsome private train. Keeps this handsome private train. Oh, yeah, on August 21st, 1993, WSOR E9's 10C and 10A, ex-Union Pacific and Milwaukee Road via Alaska Railroad, with Gardner and 15 guests aboard the ex-UP cars for a trip to Glacier National Park, crossed the middle fork of the Flathead River near Java, Montana, on Burlington Northern Tracks. Wow. What a way to end it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wisconsin Southern. Gotta love those E units. That'll be where we leave off. Thank you so much for tuning in to Magazine Monday. Hope you enjoy. Tehachapi! Pentrix, who knew? Well, there you go. Must be a sign. And just go ahead, subscribe on the YouTubes. Go over to TikTok. And we have a Patreon page up and running. So go over to Railroads Rock on Patreon. There's going to be a lot of content coming up for subscribers, and that's kind of a big thing that I'm focusing on. But always easy to contribute to the Railroads Rock Show and Railroads Rock by just liking, subscribing on the tube of views, going over to Instagrams, and all the other things that you do. Every little bit helps. And until the next time, rock and roll.